Well, welcome back everyone. I hope you've had a nice little day. And I have done a little bit of work to tidy up this particular door. I don't think it's quite complete. It does obviously need quite a bit of decor, but it nonetheless functions quite well. We have our open, we have our close, and we have, of course, our ticking clock. Now, I think I can make this considerably more compact, considerably more out of the way, but this was a very nice little entry program to ensure that you have a nice little handle on the very basics of how this all works. And, well, Faye taught you how to do metalworking at some point in time. I imagine we can try and get you a little bit up to speed when it comes to clockwork. Now, if I had made this particular clock wider out, if the arm was longer, then it would have a much more precise point in time, because the arc would be significantly different. And I believe one of you suggested that I simply put in a very large timer in here, and whilst that is certainly possible, it's not the most efficient thing. I really just want this to be open at a certain time and be closed at a certain time, and I think it works quite well to that effect. I don't want it closing before I can get into the bedroom. I don't want it closing before I can get out of the bedroom. Not that that would be very much impediment, come to think of it, but I want it to be as functional as it currently is. And to that end, I think it succeeds. Now, after my last message, there was also a little bit of hubbub in Morclork, and I don't think it's going to be a huge concern, but I did happen to identify that the Dritcher happens to have a significant stockpile of a material known as silver sheen, and it's not a huge concern, it's not a hugely dangerous thing, nothing really heavily worrying, but silver sheen does give me an awful rash, I will say that much. It is utterly dreadful. Itches to high heavens. But we might have to see about that a little bit. I don't believe the Dritcher is entirely susceptible to anything but the most subtle of machinations. But, as I say, it's not a huge concern, just a bit of a skin irritant, you see. So, yeah. But, yes, this bridge and with the water wheel over there, I'm still not entirely certain why I decided to take time out of my busy schedule to build these. They do look nice, I will say that. They do seem to be quite pleasant, but no, not a clue. I must have had some good reason, I'm sure. There must have been some obvious and grand explanation. I just slipped my mind. But then my mind is busy with so many things these days, so that's not terribly surprising. And of course, over here, with the brown bear who sees all, we have the water wheel. Someone mentioned that I should put a grindstone in here. And I'm still honestly not entirely clear on exactly why that would be, but you know what, let's do it. Let's do that anyways. It'll probably come in some degree of handy, and anything that makes it look slightly more attractive. I think that was my point. Was that it? It was meant to attract. I just don't remember exactly why. There you are, Grindstone. I don't think this is really in keeping with our heavy aesthetic, so hang on. Where's the one they were probably thinking of? There you are, the Millstone. Oh, Millstone. Interesting. Right, so that should be fairly cheap by the look of it. Let's see, it was any stone planks. Okay, yes, very, very easy to come by, I should think. Yes. That. And 2 of that. Should... There we are. 1 millstone. Anything that, like... Hey, I'm still... Yeah, it's weird. I swear I had some kind of point to it, some kind of purpose, but... yeah, it's probably there somewhere, I'm sure. I'll remember when I stop doing 15 other things, I'm sure. And... there we go. Okay, 1 millstone. Doesn't seem to be doing very much right now. I do feel it does look nice, adds a certain something to the room. There's that, at the very least. Now, I believe... I'm not dreadfully familiar with millstones. I believe that the mill part refers to the phrase milling about, and mortals just kind of like hang out around here, but yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why this says just I put it here, so they'll mill about in here a bit more. That does give me an idea, however, which is there is a much larger construction referred to as a windmill, and that usually goes, it's usually fairly tall, and it's usually in a fairly open kind of area. So if we have a look at our map, one moment. Let's see, a large open area, relatively clear. Ooh, up here might do. If we build that, then that should serve as a nice little marker for mortals to potentially be finding their way to our humble abode. Hopefully. They're not dreadfully bright. You do have to spell things out for them quite a bit. So if we have ourselves a windmill, maybe this little piece here, that could be good. Then we could encourage them to come along, and we can tell them all about how to use windmills and gears and cogs and such. I'm sure they'll very much appreciate that. Maybe they'll make some bargains. Anyways, I'll head over there, and we'll get started on that new quick little project. See you there. There we are, all happily complete, and I do think I've done rather well with this particular construction. It does, well, seems to have some lighting issues. It does seem to look rather nice, especially from afar or up close. Anything in between as well, I suppose. But up here, as noted by these spinny things, we have a windmill bearing, which is fairly straightforward. Where are you? There you are. Fairly straightforward. It's actually cheaper than a regular bearing, surprisingly. And with that we can generate a quite tremendous amount of torque. The amount of stress this can put out and actually maintain is somewhere in the thousands compared to the 45 or so of our individual fans, and I've made it look perhaps a little older than it actually is, but they always seem to turn up like this. I only ever see them when they're like this. You never see a pristine windmill. I'm not quite sure why that is, but if we head through here, we have a beautiful little dangling from the ceiling shaft, and I never know exactly what it is that they use windmills for. It's very strange. They always seem to set up these really big places, and they put something inside, and you never see what it is. So, based on the fact that this is a windmill, I'm guessing that they use it for milling. Possibly more milling about. But I do know that these are somehow related to wheat and flour, because they're always built next to huge, or at least what used to be, huge wheat fields. So, obviously, they wouldn't build something this massive just to put a little dinky grindstone in it. That would just wouldn't make any sense at all. Like, could you possibly imagine just building something this absolutely massive and putting a millstone in here? This whole thing, just all of that. No. So, instead, I presume that they must use it with crushing wheels. Now, crushing wheels are a little bit fiddly to set up purely because they require, well, they're 2 blocks. They're a multi-block, I suppose one could say, and they are quite large. And they need to be in a pair like this, so we have a space in between, and they need to be going in opposite directions, which is somewhat more difficult than one might prefer. So we're going to have ourselves a little bit of a trial here to try and get it to work, and hopefully we can even get a little bit of speed out of this, just to make sure that we can manage everything properly. This feels like I've done it wrong somehow. Big to small? Ah, that's where I've done it wrong. I haven't actually done that. Nope, that is actually going smaller. I have definitely done this wrong. Have I? There we are. Okay. I presume I had it correct, but you know. It's a mortal device. It's perhaps prone to strangeness. They're not quite strange. Anyways, there's a number of possibilities we could use, and they mostly involve the use of a gearbox in order to basically reverse an incoming shaft. So, we're going to try to have this nice and central. Perhaps there, and there. And as we can see, the outer ones are moving in the exact same direction, which we're not interested in at this particular moment in time. I might actually be able to make this a little tidier by using our wonderful, wonderful, always helpful conveyor belts. There. So if we place that there, and this here, we now have 2 going in opposite directions. I do rather think that that's reversed, however. But we should be able to fix that up here with a vertical gearbox to reverse the entire operation. Or not. Ah, because that, yeah, Might I possibly interest you in a second vertical gearbox? There we are. Perfect, perfect. And then we'll just plonk these here. And do. Ah, perfect. Do I have anything that could be perhaps resembling a wheat? Doesn't seem like it. Let's see if we can find something. There might be something around here. There used to be a Cyclops running around here. Dreadful business that, but I'm sure it's all above board. But no, I don't see a whole lot. Is there perhaps something else that we can crush? Let's find out. A great deal, actually. How about something that occurs in nature? Well, ores. I should have some ores, at least. Ores should be fairly abundant inside of my ore. No, they are. And let's see. How about some coal? Some dirty coal. Make sure I don't accidentally pick this back up. And whoop. There we go. Wonderful. I think. Do mortals eat coal? It can be quite an interesting snack. Very good as a practical joke, but I don't know so much about eating it. I presume they clean it first. But give this some time, and eventually we should see actual coal? I certainly hope so. I wouldn't want this to be a meaningless facade. Ah, here we are. Wonderful. Well, that's quite happily finished, I do believe. I may tidy this up slightly, just so it's not hovering in the air. Wouldn't that be strange? But I believe that our next project will require some minecarts. Until then, however, catch you next time. You wouldn't give your name and credit card information to an archfey, but you can give your name and credit card information to me at patreon.com/lying, where you can get access to monthly rewards like custom audio clips, early video releases, behind-the-scenes content, and the monthly patron games day, all for as little as $1 a month. So to support future content, that's patreon.com/lying.